Welcome back, family, to Spiritually Speaking, the channel of conscious calling, where everything is really that deep. I just finished watching the One New Ager versus 20 Christians, and I wanted to give my take on it. So, we'll discuss some of the different dynamics regarding these spiritually charged conversations, some of the things they discuss, some of the different nuances, and of course, my opinions on the topic as well. So let's dive straight in, shall we? First of all, let me just say this. I feel like a lot of y'all just like to be out here talking. Y'all really don't understand the words that are coming out your mouths. And most importantly, are you trying to have conversations to get further understanding on different topics, other people's ideas, values, beliefs, etc., etc., or are you just here to prove a point? Now, when it comes to spirituality, I will always be the one to tell you that that is a personal, intimate walk with the Most High. That is an individual journey that you're meant to take seriously. It's not for comparison to other people's paths and journeys that they may have to embark on. So many times when we're speaking about different aspects of different religions or practices and spirituality, what you have to come to understand is many times you are outside of your spiritual jurisdiction when you begin to try to apply the aspects, belief systems that you abide by due to the doctrine that you decide to subscribe to and believe in, and you try to apply that to someone else's spiritual walk and what they should believe and what they should be doing. To simplify it, perhaps you could try to look at spirituality as subscription based, right? If I didn't subscribe to that set of ideals, that set of values, that set of morals, then you cannot hold me to that standard. It holds no weight with me because I believe a different set of guidelines that may be included in another belief system, right? It doesn't make either or wrong or right. All it is a varying degree of belief and simply choice. If you look at spirituality and religions, it's kind of a get in where you fit in, right? There are different religions and forms of spirituality, forms of belief for different types of people, right? Just like we were given different cultures and languages, how do you think something so complex as religion or spirituality would be any different? I mean, how boring would it be if we were all the same religion, believed all the same things? How will we learn from each other? Where will we get our growth from if there was no one with an opposing opinion? See, that's the whole point of these conversations. We should be trying to gain understanding, trying to find the similarities of which the things we believe versus just trying to argue our point on which God is greater, who is more pious, and who's right or wrong. I just feel like by now, in the year of our Lord 2026, we would have learned these things already and moved past this sort of basic level of understanding when it comes to spirituality and specifically different religions. I mean, if you can see all the similarities, I don't understand why the focus is so much on what is dissimilar in these instances, right? The overall message is very clear, yet instead of focusing on actually doing the work, actually ascending, becoming one's best version of self, we decide to distract ourselves with the things that are not similar, distract ourselves with arguments and petty squabbles that we know will go nowhere, right? When it comes to religion, many of us can agree that this is one topic that is bound to end up in an argument because people are so caught up in what they believe to be true that they have a difficult time understanding that there too can be varying beliefs that hold true to someone else, right? I cannot determine or dictate what holds weight in your life. Listen, I have no business on your spiritual path. That is your path to take alone. So whatever you are called to do, whatever resonates with you is a personal experience for you. And my opinion on it should not matter at the end of the day. It's like y'all out here failing the same test over and over. We keep having these circular conversations that go nowhere. At what point do you try to actually listen to understand and apply the knowledge that's given to you? At what point do you actually apply the knowledge to graduate and level up to the next phase? Often, what ends up happening during these debates or discussions is people simply regurgitating rhetoric that they've been hearing from other people when they haven't been able to properly digest the information for self. So, for instance, and this goes for both sides of the spectrum, right? We have people within religion and we have people who are new agers who practice spirituality, occultist things, and voodoo, hoodoo, you name it, right? And sometimes what we end up seeing is these people just going along to get along. Oftentimes, what I believe what we're dealing with in religion specifically is performed piousness, right? You feel morally obligated to adhere to the text that you're reading, adhere to the doctrine, do all the things and be performative, but are you actually practicing what you pray? Are you actually taking in the information from whatever doctrine you read and applying that to your life to get yourself to the next level, to ascend to a higher state of being? Many of us just attend our preferred place of worship again out of that moral obligation. If I do the thing, I say the thing, I get the ticket to heaven, right? When that's not necessarily true, we can all agree, especially the believers in the house, right? That if you are being performative, you're not being authentic with yourself and you're not being authentic with the Most High. And the last thing you want to do is be performing within your spiritual walk and path. We know that God sees all. We know that God knows your heart. So if there's something on your mind, your body, your spirit, or your heart that you don't really align with or necessarily agree with, God knows that. Sometimes those questions that you have in particular are the very things that are trying to call you to a more authentic path for yourself, but you're so busy focused on performing for the other people in the pew behind you that you're not really taking your spiritual walk as seriously as you need to, and we all should do that. Listen, it's definitely not a game you should be playing and with all people or beings, right? What if I told you it is said that Harriet Tubman herself combined aspects of African spirituality with Christianity to not only lead herself to freedom, but thousands of others? Did you hear what I said? She combined aspects of what she knew to be true in African spirituality, combined that with aspects of Christianity that she felt were true, and led people to their freedom, right? Communicating with God, ancestors, whatever you call it. Somebody led her to freedom. I don't know what we want to call that, where you want to store that, book that, file that, put that, but someone outside of herself, right? Universe, God, Ra, Allah, ancestors, angels, spirit guides, right? She's not here, so we don't know. But what we do know is something led her out of captivity, and not only just herself, not just once, not just twice, she was able to make this trip safely, right? Not without any issue, I'm saying, but she was able to make this trip safely north several times with several different people using her spirit and her intuition. That is something that cannot be denied. But that's just one example to name a few where someone has combined what they feel compelled to versus what they've been told to practice. And it led them towards some type of victory or success in their life. So, what we ought to be focused on is what rings true for you. What sort of path calls out to you the most, right? It doesn't have to be something that you grew up in. Oftentimes, that can be a disservice to us when we are brought up in a certain religion or belief system where we continue on that path without being consciously aware of where we actually are in life, if this aligns with us, if it even applies to what we really believe. Just like the young lady Jasmine mentioned in the episode, it is so important for you to kind of dissect your thoughts and beliefs specifically regarding your religion or spiritual path. What is it that you actually believe, and what do you wholeheartedly not believe in? What calls you? What is more aligned to you? Have you ever tried to open up and discover what works for you authentically? And listen, by all means, if you are in a religion or a spiritual path that works for you, beautiful, that's fine. I'm definitely not trying to persuade you on one side of the fence or the other. All I'm trying to do is suggest that we all focus on our spiritual path individually and stop casting stones on someone else's path in the middle of them walking in it, and you have no idea what brought them to that point, right? Not everything works for everybody. That's why we're all different. We all have different personality types. We all have experienced different things through life, trauma, environmental factors that are outside of our control. There are so many things that are limiting us already. Why would you limit yourself in your spiritual walk? Probably the most important, if not the most important thing that you should be focused on in life. So what does religion mean to you? What does your spiritual path mean to you? That's all you're meant to worry about, beloved, okay? So we can only perceive things at our level of understanding. So there may be a reason why certain things don't call to you or you don't understand them entirely because it's simply not meant for you. That's why you're having these circular debates with people that get nowhere. People end up frustrated, cussing, fussing, out of control, all over somebody else's belief, and it's absolutely hilarious when people do it. At the end of the day, it should not matter what somebody else is practicing. As long as it's not causing anyone any harm, then what is the harm of someone believing something different? And to really believe as humans with our little human brains that we could fully grasp all that the Most High God is actually laughable, right? It shows our ignorance and our arrogance as humans to believe that we could actually grasp the entire concept of something that is so far beyond our understanding and knowledge. It's quite big of us to think, right? Because what we'll do naturally is try to fill in the blanks of something that we don't know or we're unsure of. The human mind does not like gaps in its reality, so it must form some type of opinion, some type of ideal or mindset to fill in that gap so that we are now in the know, right? What people are really out here doing is trying to apply the human perception to something as vast as God, and it does not work because none of us have the actual answers. So we could go back and forth all day about who's right, who's wrong, which practices and beliefs are correct, which practices and beliefs are immoral. But at the end of the day, I believe all religious texts guide you to focus on being your highest self, does it not? If we look at the 10 Commandments, the 42 principles of Ma'at, etc., what you'll find is that many of it is guiding you to be your best self. So thou shalt not kill, steal, love your neighbor, love mother and thy father, all those beautiful things, right? Don't be greedy, don't steal, all the things that lead you to be a better individual overall. Is that not the message? Now, we could discuss how a lot of the Christian concepts are directly derived from Egyptology, but I'm not going there today. You definitely want to check out All Roads Lead to Egypt, the 3-part series where I broke down exactly how all roads lead to Egypt, not Rome. And if you don't believe me, look on the back of the American dollar bill and tell me I'm lying. A simple Google search or the correct command in ChatGPT can lead you right on that road. But what would you even do with that information? We could discuss how Proverbs 22 to 24 is directly derived from Egyptian wisdom, but I'm not going there today. Now, we could discuss the story of how Osiris was brought back to life by Isis and how this story was switched around and put into Christianity, but We won't go there today either. Or we could discuss how the story of Adam and Eve was directly taken from the story of the Egyptian primordial god Atum, who was associated with the evening star. So you definitely want to check out the series All Roads Lead to Egypt, where I break down specifically how the theories that they spin regarding the basic building principles of life. Adams, Adam and Eve, both coming from the Egyptian god Atum. But you'll have to do your own knowledge on that. All you got to do is listen. But you know what I always say, I'm just throwing things out there, so catch what you can. Now, the topic of discussion that typically comes up surrounding religion and spirituality is the fact that different forms of practices and beliefs pray to certain things or incorporate different principles, beliefs, things into their practice, whether it be spiritual beads, Buddha statues, ancestors, candles, or how Native Americans speak to the spirit of literally everything on the planet. Now, this is one of those ways of thinking that I feel like we should have evolved eons past, right? Let's think about this clearly. One, you have to understand that there are a lot of religions that are not monotheistic, they are polytheistic, meaning there are more than one God incorporated in their spiritual belief or practice. Now, that's really none of your business. You see how I'm saying? When you go to start judging that and placing your beliefs of monotheism onto someone who is polytheistic, you are outside of your spiritual jurisdiction. You don't even know fully what they're talking about to be trying to cast judgment, have an opinion, because one, you don't fully understand it, and two, you're not even open enough, open-minded enough, open enough spiritually to be able to have a effective communication and conversation with that person regarding what their spirituality entails, why they do certain things they do, what sort of backstory they have, historical context they may have, or reasons they believe in this so heavily or fiercely, right? All you know is they have a differing opinion than you, and you feel like it is your moral obligation, your moral duty to defend your religion with honor, and you would really sit up there and use your God to condemn another person. Does that sound logical? I don't think anyone's God that they're praying to wants to be used to condemn or put down or be condescending to another person, specifically their spiritual beliefs. When at the end of the day, many of us come up in these beliefs and haven't even chosen them for ourselves. It's like if you live in a certain region, you come up in a certain culture or ethnicity or background, you are automatically given a race, a culture, and more specifically, a religion or spiritual practice and belief. So many of us are being judged for something that has been kind of outside of your choosing. I won't say outside of your control, but many of us don't feel like it is of our choosing because, once again, once you start practicing a religion or spiritual belief, you then become morally obligated. Oh, now everything is wrong, or everything outside of this I shouldn't be doing, I shouldn't question it. But why would you want to be in a situation? Why would God call you to be in a situation to not question things, especially if you're unsure? Now, if you just simply lack faith, that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day, and we're not talking about that. I'm talking about being honest and authentic with your connection and communication with the Most High God, that it does not matter what somebody else says on their path or try to get you to believe, that you're open enough to have the open dialogue, the conversation. Perhaps you may need to gain some different aspects from that person, right? You might be able to understand a different culture or a different belief if you would just open up your mind to accept it. Not that you have to assimilate or assign to their beliefs, but accept that they are human. They have a right to believe in what they want to believe. And again, as long as they're not hurting anyone in the process, what exactly is your problem? I'm convinced y'all just out here looking for a problem, because what I practice should not bother you unless I'm bothering you. Again, the ignorance and arrogance of man, thinking that what you think and believe is the only thing that is true, and that's simply not the case. The way I see it, an easy way to understand Native American culture or cultures that believe in polytheistic ways, recognizing, revering, or honoring other gods, goddesses, ancestors, angels, spirit guides, the universe, whatever may have you. One, you have to understand that's what works for them, so it doesn't need to work for you. Mind your business, okay? Number two, understand that again, you applying your understanding of religion to their beliefs is where you got it all messed up. See, your problem is you believe that they're praying to these certain things because that's what you do within your religion. What you have to come to understand is there's a difference between idolizing and worship and paying respects to, honoring, and revering. So imagine now cultures like Native Americans, an entire culture of people who love and respect God, universe, and the creation so much that they pay reverence to literally everything on the planet because in their minds, everything has a spiritual nature to it. It's all tied together as one. The birds, the wind, the trees, the air, us as humans, the animals, every single thing, the waters, everything is sacred and should be treated as such. Everything is treated with reverence because it is part of God's creation. Now, you judge them thinking that they're praying to the spirit of the wind or whatever you may hear, and you're not being honest to how colonization has heavily affected your belief system in the first place. Now, had colonization not existed, where would you be? Where would your ancestors still have been? And what would you be practicing as a spiritual belief or religion? You don't really know that answer because we didn't get a chance for that story to play out. Now, did we? However, that's part of the reason you got to mind your spiritual business, stay on your side of the spiritual streets, and worry about the path that is assigned to you. That's why you're not on that path. That's why you don't understand it. And if you can't open your mind to try to understand it, keep your mouth off it. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to say because we're here to testify to the truth, right? And so,
To yours, yes.
there's only two things: you either operate in spiritual wickedness or spiritual righteousness. There's the kingdom of darkness or the kingdom of light. There's
Based
no
off
in between.
Christianity, yes.
And so, when you said, "Oh, is for someone who's operating in spiritual wickedness in the kingdom of darkness, technically a minion for Satan," from the topic of manifestation, be honest. So you can manifest like your way out of hell. Like, would you be able to manifest?
I'm going to hell, so I don't know why this question is
But
relevant.
let's just say, hypothetically speaking, that
I
hell
think
was a
we
real
should go
thing.
to the next.
And when it comes to religion, why everything gotta go to hell? Y'all need to get a grip on that. You literally cast spells with your mouth. Let me say it in Christianese. You literally have the power of life and death in the tongue. Watch your mouth. Stop saying things that you do not know to be true. Nobody assigned you as spiritual security guard to make sure everybody gets to their assigned seat in hell. Nobody told you to do that. No, God didn't ask you to do that. So where is that coming from? That's coming from a frustration on you being so hell bent on you being right and someone having an opposing opinion that makes you think or maybe contradictory to what you think you know to be true. And again, I don't take sides in these things. I think it's a get in where you fit in type of model. I think everyone is meant to have this individual spiritual experience where you go on your spiritual path and you figure out what works for you. Deconstruct religion, spirituality, your mindsets and beliefs around literally everything, but we're going to stick to spirituality and come up with what works best for you. What is the path before you? You can't worry too much about the people on the path behind you. You have to focus on forward movement. So what is going to help you get to that next place? What is going to help you align to be your highest self? Listen, I want everybody to be out here vibrating at their highest self, vibrating at a frequency where there's love and light in the energy. So whatever religion gets you to be love and light and loving and caring and living through your heart, doing literally everything that you do with love, whatever gets you to that, baby, I am all for it. So if you practice Buddhism, Taoism, and a little spirituality, and you use tarot cards on the weekend, baby, if that's what makes you happy and makes you a more pleasant person to be around, a more pleasant being in a more pleasant frequency on the planet, then baby, by all means, go have at it, as long as it's not causing harm, right? We have to start learning to have these conversations openly and communicate in a way that we can effectively hear each other and understand different viewpoints and mindsets, right? Somebody may be able to tell you something that's imperative for your next part of your journey, but you're not willing to hear that person because they're a believer of Islam or they're a believer of Buddhism. We can all learn something from each other. And quite frankly, I feel like that's the reason why we were all given different spiritual paths. We're meant to learn from each other. You're meant to see me go on my path and do it a different way, do it in a way that's authentic for me, and say, you know what? If she could do it, I could do it too, right? And it doesn't matter what my family or ancestors have done before me. All that matters is this works for me. At the end of the day, you have one life to live and you cannot continue living it for other people. You have to step out on faith, literally, and get in your path, get working towards your purpose. That is the only way that you are going to receive all that you're meant to receive in this life, right? We're supposed to be living a better existence. It is our job to create heaven on earth for ourselves and affect that energy and add that positive frequency to the planet so we can uplift the vibration of the entire planet. That's what we're here for. And what's sad is many people are regurgitating these facts that they've been hearing over time, over centuries, that other people have been sharing without digesting it themselves. And they don't even understand the text themselves. They have no internal understanding. They have no type of discernment when they're coming up against other things that may conflict with what they believe, nor are they discerning in their own text. So how can you, as a person who barely understands your spiritual path, try to come in my lane and try to guide me in something you know absolutely nothing about? Are y'all okay out there? And how long are you guys going to read the same book and not get the lesson? Don't worry, I'll wait. Y'all too worried about arguing about the messenger, y'all done missed the message entirely. Listen, at the end of the day, Earth is just spiritual school and class is always in session. We are meant to learn the lessons so that we are able to level up grade by grade until you ascend to the highest form of self, okay? Until you earn that master's degree in life, when you finally walk in your path towards your purpose to receive all the provision that you are meant to receive. That's what's meant by heaven on earth. We literally create that with each decision, each behavior, each thing we add to our lives or remove. You are getting yourself either closer or further away from the truth. So with that being said, let me know what you think down in the comments below. Whether you agree or disagree, let's just keep it respectful in the comments, but have that open discussion and dialogue to move the conversation forward, shall we? And y'all know what I say, continue to come and go in love and light. Please pursue your purpose, not just paychecks, because purpose is what provides your provision and your protection. Remember, as long as you're aligned, you'll be just fine. And last but certainly not least, you definitely want to do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And until next time, peace, y'all.